Good day, class. Today we are discussing leadership, a very important concept in sociology, management, and even in our day-to-day lives. Leadership is not just about politics or business. It's cut across families, communities, schools, religious group, even WhatsApp group you belong to. Now imagine a football team without a captain. Everyone will just be playing anyhow. No coordination, no direction. That is why leadership is vital in every group. Groups need leaders and leaders need followers. In Nigeria, for example, during the EndSARS protest of 2020, we saw young people trying to coordinate themselves, but because there wasn't one central leader, it was difficult for the government to negotiate. That situation shows how leadership or lack of it can shape outcomes. Leadership, therefore, is a dynamic process. It is not static, it depends on the group, the time, and the circumstances. I'm Adefemi, and I am your lecturer for today. And today we are looking at Module 2, Unit 5. At the end of this unit, you should be able to define and describe leadership, describe the major leadership theories, and finally differentiate leaders from managers. Moving further, what is the definition of leadership? According to Cole in 1994, it says that leadership is a dynamic process in which one individual, over a particular period of time and in a particular organizational context, influences other group members to commit themselves freely to achieving group goals. Take note of the word freely. Now, let us break down the definition of leadership by Cole. Number one, dynamic process, meaning it changes. A good leader in one context may not be effective in another. For example, during the Ebola outbreak in West Africa in 2014, doctors and scientists were the real leaders, not politicians. Number two, not necessarily one person. So sometimes leadership is shared. In your group assignment, you might notice that one person is good at research, another at writing, another at presenting. That is shared leadership. Number three, influence towards goal. So, leadership is not about bossing people around, it's about influence and inspiration and guidance. Think of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala of the WTO. She influences nations towards trade reforms, not by force but by persuasion. Finally, number four, context matters. Context matters. Leadership style that work in America may not work in Nigeria. For example, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda has a very strict disciplinarian style that works in Rwanda's context, but may not fit in Ghana's democracy. So, leadership is about people, influence, and context. Okay. So, moving further, we'll be looking at leadership theory. And now, for years, scholars have been asking these questions, or this question: are leaders born or made? Well, the leadership theory will help us to answer or give an answer to that question. So, number one, leadership theory, and one of the oldest idea is great man, great woman theory. It says leaders are born, not made. Example, people may argue that Nelson Mandela was born a leader because of his courage and charisma, or in Nigeria, many saw General Olusegun Obasanjo as a natural leader during the Civil War. But the problem with this theory is, what about ordinary people who became leaders through training and experience? You know. So number two, we have trace theory. These expand on the first idea by saying leaders have certain traits, intelligence, courage, communication skills, height, you know. For example, look at Barack Obama. He's intelligent, articulate, and confident. This trait helped him become a great leader. But again, trait theory is not enough. Some people may have the traits and never lead. We all know that very brilliant person in class who doesn't like taking responsibility, you know. So, the third theory is the interactionist theory. This one is more realistic. It says leaders are both born and made. So leadership depends on the traits of the person and the situation, circumstances. For instance, during Nigerian fight against polio, Dr. Adetokunbo Lucas became a leader in public health, not just because he was intelligent, but also because the health crisis demanded leadership. So, a shy person may not look like a leader, but if a crisis arises and they step up, people will follow them. You know, that is very important to note for those of us that are introvert or shy. Okay, moving further, leaders versus managers. Now, um, let us clear up a common confusion. Are leaders the same as managers? Well, not really. They are not. A manager focuses on planning, organizing, and controlling. Think of a bank branch manager who ensures staff arrive on time, balance account, and meet targets. That is a manager, you know. But a leader, however, inspires, motivates, and creates vision. Think of Elon Musk rallying his team at Tesla to imagine cars running on clean energy. Imagine Aliko Dangote inspiring his workers, you know, in his refinery or even in his Dangote cement to, you know, be innovative and be committed to work. In Nigeria, you may find a school principal who is a manager, making sure teachers sign attendance register. But the true leader in that school may be a teacher who motivates students to aim high and pass WAEC. So, while a manager maintains order, a leader creates change. Both are important, but not everyone can do both well, you know. So, in conclusion, leadership is not just about position or style, it is about influence, vision, and context. And leadership can be shared. In today's fast changing world, we need leaders who are adaptable, inclusive, and inspiring. In summary, leadership is a dynamic process of influence. There are different theories: great man woman theory, trait theory, and interactionist theory. Leaders and managers are not the same. One inspires and the other organizes. Leaders inspires while manager organizes. Leadership is about context, and both African and the world give us examples daily, you know. Um so I have a questions for you guys to work on. You can drop your response in the comment section. Number one, in your own words, what is leadership? Mention 10 good characteristics of a leader with example from Nigeria or any other part of Africa. Number two, differentiate between trace theory and interactionist theory of leadership with relevant illustration. So, before I end, let me ask you all another question to reflect on now. You mustn't respond to this, but it's just for you to reflect on. If you were made the president of Nigeria today, what kind of leader would you want to be? A manager, a leader, or both? Which one would you like to be? And also, let me add, you should begin to reflect on the kind of leader you are and could be, because all of you here are potential leaders, whether in your family, communities, or careers. Have a good day, student.